Oh, shoot. What's up, everybody? It's Dynasty Mirror Search for Who. I hit the live button too soon. Hold on, you guys. Let me, I got to send a link to Belle Thanos. The topic tonight is, should Black Americans repatriate to Rwanda? Like I said, I hit the live button too soon, but it's okay. It's okay. Let me get Belle Thanos on here. But everyone, how's everyone doing? How is everybody tonight? Hope everybody is well. As you can see, I'm not doing anything this Saturday night except for bringing you guys content. Hold on one second. Belle, my bad. I didn't hit the stream button too soon. So, Belle, I need you to go ahead and jump in here real quick. Guys, I apologize. I don't know what happened. I just was hitting buttons.
Hey.
I'm like, oh shit, I'm live now.
Hey, Dynas, you took off without me.
Yeah, I'm tripping. Yeah, I don't know what happened. I just hit the live button and I don't know.
What's going on? So first I want to say congratulations, man. I am so excited and proud of you for doing your coronation. So much props to you.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
I appreciate it.
That's exciting. You really did it. But everyone, thanks for having me. As Dynas know, I recently took a trip to Rwanda. So
introduce yourself, all that good stuff, you know.
Oh yeah, so I'm your girl Belle Thanos, formerly known as Belle Bagay or Neretten. I changed my name a couple of times.
Just like me.
Yeah, my BAIO brothers was, just cracking jokes and make the Black woman Thanos, so they gave that name to me, which is fun. Oh, Dendada's in the chat. What's up? So yeah, so I'm here today. Recently took a trip to Rwanda by myself. That's a big deal because, most people don't know if women can travel, what countries they can travel to in Africa by themselves. So
Belle, go ahead and finish, your opening and introducing yourself. But let's start off with you traveling alone as a woman, because I get a lot of emails. Dynas, will I be safe if I travel Africa by myself from women? So since you've done that, let's start there before we get into Rwanda. If that's okay with you.
Oh yeah, no, we can do that. Well, one, I'm kind of used to traveling by myself. As some of you guys know, I live in Alaska by myself out in the bush, moved from Texas and moved from New York. So I tend to just move around by myself a lot. So this is nothing new to me. So I have traveled by myself before, but this is the first time I'm going to the continent. And I had those fears too, because I was originally supposed to hook up with your boy, Falajiki.
What happened? You got to come in August. Are you coming in August?
August? Oh no! In August, I'm finishing up here, and then I'm going back to Rwanda in October. Okay. I will go to Nigeria. I promise.
No love for Nigeria. I see how. No love.
I do. Oh my God, I feel so bad.
No love.
Falajiki was working.
You feel bad. I hope you feel bad.
That's like he was working with me, but anyway, a lot of people wanted to go to Rwanda. It was going to be a group trip. Things happen, people's lives, personal lives happen. They couldn't all make it, so I just said, "F it, I'm going anyway." So I went. Hooked up. I found a tour guide online, and actually through Facebook. And we kind of scheduled everything and got there.
I was gonna say, go ahead and keep talking. My damn.
Oh no, you're fine.
Dinging. So let me try to stop that. Go ahead and keep talking.
You're fine. I'll tell everyone. So took off from Alaska to Rwanda. This took 2 days to fly. A lot of layovers. So that was a process in and of itself. Got there 2 days later at the evening, and what happened? Yeah, my hotel came to pick me up they were really nice about that. Before I was coming to Rwanda,
They called you like 20 times.
no, what they did was email me. They didn't call me. They were really nice about it. They emailed me, but they emailed me a lot.
Mhm.
Like they wanted to know all my flights, what time I'm coming, how many people. I'm just like, oh, it's just me. And so I got there. They got your name on the sign, and I was met by this gorgeous, gorgeous girl who, amazingly enough, she kind of shares my name. Her name was Raisa Nadej, and she was dressed in the traditional Rwandan Umushinana dress.
Mhm.
And she was just like, "Oh, you're by yourself?" I'm like, "Yep." And she's like, "All right," and took me to the hotel. And Rwanda has some of the most beautiful women I have ever seen.
Really?
You travel, yeah. I know you travel throughout Africa, and you've seen and compared. I haven't done that, so I can't really say for sure. But oh, Lumani's in the chat. Yes, I tried to hook up with her in Rwanda, but she was in Kenya. Now I'm like really distracted. She was in Kenya at the time. So Lumani, I'm coming again. I'm staying for like almost like 3 months. It's gonna be ridiculous. At least 6 weeks. I'm gonna be there. So I'm coming again, and we are going to actually meet up. Oh my God, I was messaging her while I was there. That's so funny. But yeah, so I got there, all these like gorgeous, gorgeous women, and the curves are natural, fellas.
Uh-huh.
Calling it so
None of those implants and
no, like they have the exaggerated curves, like the naturally small waist and natural thick hips, and it's real. So I was like, okay, we can appreciate that. So the women were so gorgeous, and everyone is so nice, so nice. So they took me to the hotel, got me set up, like gave me like I think it was like mango or passion fruit juice.
it was delicious.
And yeah, but the key thing was they were so happy to see a Black American. They do not see enough of them there. They
Repeat
were
that again. Repeat that part again. That's important. Repeat that again.
yeah. So and they and they stressed that. It was like we would love for more of you guys to come. Everyone else is coming to visit. Come through. Like this is basically home. So I got the welcome homes when I was saying this is my first time on the African continent. They're like welcome home. So that I really really appreciated that. But yeah, everyone was really, really sweet. Even more so beforehand. Like I can't stress how nice these people are. Like I was invited to a wedding 2 weeks before getting there, and the groom was yeah, he was just like because my tour guide was basically telling me that his cousin was getting married. Weddings is a big thing. Traditional weddings is a big thing in Rwanda. So his cousin was getting married, and it happened to be on one of the days that we were supposed to be touring, going to another part of the country. And he was just like, I can change up the schedule. But he's like, my cousin wants you in the wedding now because he knows I'm working and you're a Black woman. And
well, was you in the wedding? You were in the wedding.
Well, no, that's what I thought it was gonna be that. So I was afraid, like the way they phrased it, they was like, "Yeah, you're gonna be in the wedding. You're gonna play the role of one of his sisters."
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know what that means. So I'm just like, "Wait, what?" Like did you guys ask the bride? Like, what's going on here? Like, there's a lot of details to weddings that women pay attention to.
Right.
So and then they explained it to me later, and it was like, "No, just come, bring tons of options of shirts, and we'll dress you." So this is strange because this is men telling me this. So I'm like, there's no way a dude is dressing me for a wedding. So I'm like, I need contact with women, but it turned out wonderful. I got there. He introduced me to his cousins, which were women. The tour guide introduced me to his cousins and his cousin who was getting married. And the women were so nice. They were just like, there's one girl named Janet. She was like, you're like, I have 4 sisters already. You're going to be sister number 5 of mine. Like they just can't like open arms. So sweet. And then she was feeding me. They feed you a lot before a traditional wedding. And I finally found out why. At the wedding ceremony, you don't eat. You just keep drinking banana wine and banana beer.
Banana wine. Yo, that sounds banana wine. That sounds good.
It's really good. But it's one of those drinks that sneaks up on you. Man, take it sparingly. Because it's one of those drinks you could sit there and drink it and think, oh, this isn't so bad. It's cool. It's not that bad until you stand up. And then, it's like, yeah, okay, you can't drive. So it's one of those that sneak up on you. But it was good. And everyone, they bring it at the traditional wedding. Every table gets one and you share it amongst the group on the table. Like you're literally drinking from, like one of those huge, not the pot, like the jugs they use. the traditional kind of clay jugs that they made.
Uh-huh.
So we drank that, and the ceremony is going on for like 6 hours. Interestingly enough, no one actually gets married at the traditional wedding,
Mhm.
which was strange because so it was a lot of dancing and singing. Bride and groom don't really talk. It's the way it works. Basically, the family members negotiate the term. Like basically, they keep it really traditional how they've done, hundreds of years ago. And basically, the family will talk amongst each other. What's the benefit of my son of my daughter marrying your son? So it's kind of a negotiation process going on,
Mhm.
and it's funny because they have to argue with each other, but like fake argue, where the father of the bride will make an accusation against the groom side of the family, and it's a lie, but the groom side of the family can't tell him that he's lying. So you have to like negotiate your way out of it. So they could say something like, well, I don't know if my daughter should marry you because your brother there stole 6 of my cows, and
Mm.
it's like, okay, no, he's like, I didn't steal your cow, or they can't say I didn't do it. It's like, well, I stole your cow because my other kid was going through this and this. None of this ever happened, but that's just the way it is. So they really keep it traditional like that, and it's fun because the youth actually really take part of the traditional culture too. They're really, really into it. So there's a lot of dancing. Their traditional dancing. And Hold Up's in the chat. What's up, Hold
Shout
Up?
out to Hold Up Thanos.
Shout out to Hold Up. Okay. So there's a lot of tradition stuff that they keep intact there. So this was nice because I wasn't expecting this, and spent the whole day with these lovely people drinking banana wine and banana beer and just had a great time. And they really pull you in. Like they just see you as you black, you one of us. Like they don't care that you Black American or diasporan or wherever you from. You Black, you one of us. And they do speak English. The traditional language, or their main language, is Kinyarwanda. And then French is second. They like everyone knows Kinyarwanda and French, and then some know Swahili because Tanzania, Kenya right there, and then English too. So you can get by speaking English pretty easily. And, even if they're speaking in like Kinyarwanda, they'll like translate for you and everything. But so it was really, really welcoming. So that was like me in Kigali and everything. So what else? Because it is just so much.
Let
So
me ask
much.
you this, because I haven't been. Now, obviously, I would say probably 20, 25 years ago, you had the genocide. Can you even tell the genocide even happened?
Um, so when you go to the genocide memorials, they have areas where you can, basically pray and everything. When you leave Kigali, you can kind of tell, but it's not obvious.
Mhm.
It's not obvious, and it's more so. Actually, it's kind of hard to tell now that I think about it. Because if I didn't have my tour guide explaining to me, I wouldn't have known. Because the people are genuinely happy, but what he explained to me, he said there is an undercurrent of mistrust amongst them because of what happened. He's like, when you go back to their history 25 years ago, exactly what happened, he's like, it put the state in a destitute period. And he's like, people don't really consider it. And I was even saying this on Holup's show, how they started with, when I say nothing, like absolutely nothing, below zero is how you describe it. It was like they weren't even at baseline. There was no government, no school, no hospital, no banks, nothing that you can work with. It was just a torn to pieces country. You have 1 million people dead, 1 million more who killed them missing or scattered.
Mm.
7.5 million are refugees in surrounding countries like Tanzania, Uganda, and the Congo. And everyone's just like, what the? And then to make matters worse, the world didn't do shit about it.
Right.
Like, the UN deliberately did not step in. And even so much so that a U.S. general called out the UN for that
Right.
during the time, saying that they could have went in there and helped and stopped this. And not to mention the people who instigated it all took off and went to Belgium. So, and none of them got convicted for anything either. So what Kagame did is just how do you come from that? Like, it was initially, everyone thought it was going to be a failed state.
Right.
And what he did was basically form RPF, RDF, I think it's RDF, formed his organization. He took his training. He took time to go to Singapore and learn. Like, how did you guys go from shit to what you are now? Because my country is a shit show. And he came back and brought it back. And, a lot of people don't like the way he did it, but the Rwandans, they love him for it. They have this saying where it's what's going on there and what happened, how they got from there to where they are now. It's like, it's not the only way, but it's the best way for them. They love him for it. That is very much true. Everyone's happy. They openly say, listen, we're going to keep this man in seat as long as we can, because he's doing nothing but great things for us. He values education. He values healthcare. He's pushing our kids to, learn new things. Oh, even he does have incentives for, if you go to school in the West, like UK or US, incentives to have people come back and help rebuild and help develop, their economy even more.
Important, which is important.
Yeah. So he does set up, even those avenues. Like, nah, you're not just gonna go and leave. No, you can come back, and everyone wants to. They love it there. So down to the cleanliness of a city, which is a very interesting story how it started. But so to go from what they were to where they are now, you respect it so much more, and the people do too. They understand, like, if it wasn't for him, they wouldn't be where they are now. Like, it was going to be a failed state. Anything could have happened, and horrible things for the most part. So they see that how it is, and then they, it's not like people say, like, oh, you can't talk about tribes when you're there. Right. It's not even so much that you can't talk about it. What it is they don't want to. And I can't blame them. Like, the youth, in which they're a majority of the population, 65% of the population, I think, is under 30. So that's a young population. They don't want to. They don't want to talk about the difference between, what tribe is which. Why? Because, their parents just did that, and, people in their family died for that. So they like, screw it, we're all Rwandan. As a matter of fact, both the tribes, the Hutu and the Tutsi, traditions was the same. The dances are the same, the food the same, the music the same.
Well, from my understanding, I guess when the Belgium came, they just said, okay, one group is going to be the Tutsi, the other group is going to be the Hutu. Is that right? Is that how?
No, they always were separate. They said historically, the difference really between them was that Tutsis always had more cows, which was like a form of wealth. They typically did have more cows. That's basically what it was. They were the more wealthy group, and Hutus weren't. And it's not so much they were treated worse. It's just that's what it was. The class difference between, like, what's considered rich and poor. What happened is, and I learned this at the King's Palace in Nyanza, when the Belgium came, they wanted to push Christianity. And the king at that time was like, F no. We're not doing that. We're not doing this. We're not doing that. They really wanted to push Christianity, and they found ways to depose him, get his son in power, try to put his son, like, lean towards it and allowed it, but he was still trying to keep it together at home and not let it be overtaken with Christianity. Like, he himself adapted to Christianity and all that stuff, but as for the people, he wanted them to maintain their original traditions. So Belgium, they realized, even then, like, they weren't getting that far. They weren't getting what they want, especially politically wise. And that's when they started dividing people. Like, okay, so, Tutsi have more cows. You see, they're trying to take advantage of these, and, like, starting to instigate little things and telling Hutus, like, they're really against you because look at them, they have more wealth, they have this and that, and you don't, you're just a house boy or a house girl, you're just a servant. And they were just exploiting what was already there but wasn't a problem. So it created a problem, and then started physically dividing them through phenotypes, like their eye shapes or head shapes, all this stuff. So, and then naturally this kind of builds up, and then you get some corrupt people in government who want one upper hand of the other. Then they use that against them, and then you have one horrible genocide where 1 million people die, and all the parties who started it and instigated it took off and went to Belgium, including the Rwandans who did it too. So and the rest of the world left them to die, obviously. So for what Kagame did to kind of bring them back, like it took a like I don't know if anyone else could do that. Like how many leaders could actually do that? Like considering you have none of your people, you have no control. People are dead. Other people are just falling to pieces. You have refugees. They're in other countries. Everyone's scattered. What do you do? How do you bring people home? And he did. He was able to do it. There's programs there. What I noticed, especially when I went outside of Kigali, they had they call it like a rehabilitation program for some of the prisoners who participated in the genocide. And I'll go into more detail of that, like how many actual people were convicted and how many people weren't, because it's still a lot that's not. And that kind of goes into what's going on in the Congo too. But he has programs where prisoners are forced to kind of rebuild the communities, rebuild houses, rebuild neighborhoods, and it works. And what he did, some programs, it was kind of, some would consider inhumane in a way, but what they did was the prisoners or people who took part in the genocide were forced to live and work amongst the ones who were victims of the genocide and literally rebuild, their neighborhood, their province or district. So this would work, making them work together. One, it would help rebuild trust amongst them because that's an issue. It's an underlying issue. But it's not like a big one that you see, but it obviously was after this. So help rebuild trust, reestablish a community, reestablish some basis of agriculture so they can feed their families and grow and live and work amongst each other and help them kind of link back up together. Because before this, like they were, they married each other. Mm-hmm. Now, going back to the genocide, it was husbands getting their wives killed. So that really F's with somebody. And you can only imagine what that would do to a child who witnessed this. Right. So, that's why the youth really just screw the whole, tribal thing. We're better off without it. Not to mention they see what's happening next door in Kenya when people are voting based off tribes and you have all this nonsense. So they see it and they see it's happening in Uganda. So it's not working in other African countries. We could care less for it happening here. So it's basically that was the price to pay. So he has those programs. There's even programs now where they have the people who took part in the genocide, the prisoners. They do a lot of work. It is labor. They do make them do labor. It's a great way to make them, give back to the community. So what they do is they're building homes for the poor population. So even the poorest population will have houses. They're building communities for them too. So it's just I'm like, how could you really be mad at that? The prisoners themselves also do agriculture. But one of the things is their prison system is kind of getting overcrowded. So I'll tell you why. Yeah, because Kagame is strict, very strict. Right? Yeah. I didn't even go into too much about traveling there by myself. One of the reasons I was able to go there by myself is women are very protected there. Mm-hmm. You cannot be on the street getting into it with a woman and get away with it. It's just not to say that all men are going to jail for that. That's not the case. But basically, it's really strict. Women are the majority. I want to say the numbers are from 4 to 6 women to 1 man. But what's funny is you go there, you see a lot of dudes. You don't see it. But when you get into small spaces, you see mostly women. The reason for this is a lot of the men died in the genocide. Well, yeah. And actually they have a lot of so they do have a lot more women. And so they're women. So, and that's another reason why they have the most women in parliament, because they represent a majority of the population. It would seem like, some type of, I guess, sexism or something like that if they didn't have them represented in their politics too. So, he tried to kind of balance it out for that. Also, Kagame has the utmost respect for women and his mother. Growing up, he knew what his mother did to take care of him. So he wants it, sweet for women across the board. So a guy can get into an argument with his girl and say something happened, blows are thrown. And she could even say listen, I started it. I don't want him arrested. This is, it was my fault. That dude's still doing 3 months minimum in jail. He's still doing 3 months.
Are you serious?
Yeah, yeah. You're still doing 3 months in jail. So the dudes don't touch the women. They're actually very, very protective. Very, and that was so nice because one, they're protective of all Black women. I got there and they were just like, nah, you like, if you go and hiking here, like I had the most, I don't know why I had the most security, but it wasn't even so much security of military dudes who were there in that part of that region. It was a huge group of us, and I was the only Black woman in that group. Obviously, the rest are Mzungus or white people. So the rest are them. But a good portion of them was just like, nah, we were more interested in making sure you're okay rather than them. They were like, let the gorillas get them for all we care. So they're really, really into taking care of their women. So like you're just not gonna get away with doing stuff to women. So that was really safe. Like when I say how safe it is, they told me to describe it in a way of me with electronic devices and being outside at night. So the way I can describe how safe it is, I can walk the streets of Rwanda at night with an iPhone, a MacBook, an iPad, all out in the open, and nothing would happen to me. I could be walking the street at 2 a.m.
Right.
Nothing would happen to me. So I'm like, I don't know how many places I could do that with, but yeah. So they straight up take care of the ladies there. And I was gonna say something else, but I'm not gonna say that here. I'm not gonna say that.
No. Say it. Come on, say it. I want to hear.
You're like, say it. Look, you're like,
Say it.
So Lumani knows this. It is tradition, very much tradition, to put the women's pleasure first.
Okay.
In the bedroom. So that was like I didn't learn this in practical, but no. But this was explained to me, and this is actually like throughout East Africa in general. They said like Tanzania, Uganda, Rwanda, Burundi, and stuff. But it's very much practiced in Rwanda. Oh my god! And so you can Google it. I'll leave that to you. I will say no more because I'm sure Lumani knows what I'm talking about. So we'll leave it at that. But yeah, so they put their women. They really do take care of their women first. What else? Because there was
so is feminism big there or
no? You know what? No. So this is what's interesting. As much.
Hello.
Lumani's funny. I do see why, Lumani. I do. But with all the women being there, I thought it was going to be like very, very much feminism and this and women taking over and they're in charge and all this stuff. That's interestingly enough not the case. So the women are still very traditional, even though they're like working, they're in parliament, they're doing their own thing. They still, want the husband, want the, 2.5 kids, still take care of their man, still work together with them. I mean, there's still that tradition where the man is the breadwinner and he's, the provider and, yada, yada, yada. So there's that. So they, so they work well amongst each other with that, but it's not, you don't see them trying to like actively take over and tell men what to do or change, laws and dictate this. And no, it's not like that at all. And I think part of the reason the men really take care of the women so much as well, they know they need the women to make more men.
Right.
They're like, listen, how else are we going to repopulate, get this population going? So in total, in Kigali itself, there's 1.2 million people. And Kigali is actually a very small city. It's not that big. Throughout Rwanda itself, there's 12 million.
Okay.
So there's a lot of, there's 30 districts or provinces, and I went through 26 of them, which was really fun. So what Kagame is doing with the master plan, besides expanding more industrialization throughout Kigali, he's trying to basically build 5 more similar cities like Kigali throughout Rwanda.
Yeah.
Because not all 12 million Rwandans can fit in Kigali. That's ridiculous. Although a lot of people want to be there because that's where most opportunity is. That's where, business development is and all this stuff. But so he's trying to expand it throughout there. So there's tons of opportunity, which is why you can go there and literally take just a few hours to register a business. And it takes like 48 hours for it to get approved.
Oh, wow.
Like we're really, really pushing for this to happen. Oh, by the way, they offer dual citizenship.
Okay. So let me ask you this: how is it fast tracked for Black Americans, or is it like you got
fast track? If you can still get it very fast. You don't have to. You don't have to get. You can, of course, if you get married, yeah, you'll get it. But you don't. It's not required to get married. And what else? What's one of the other? You don't have to stay there for 10 years.
Okay.
You can get it like within a year if you are like, if you're doing business there primarily, or if you're like doing something to kind of grow and help boost their economy.
It makes sense. Yeah. Of course.
Yeah. If you're like bringing value to our country, you can do it.
Exactly. Right. Exactly.
And one of the things that was really interesting, another reason why the prisons is kind of like up there, is Kagame does not play when it comes to corruption. Like it's a running joke that mayors will only last 2 years because some people tend to somewhat lean towards corruption when they're in those business seats where they're given kind of like huge loans to investors from like Europe and they're putting out millions of dollars. And yeah, they're going to get their hands get a little sticky because they're only making so much money. And they're like, I'm writing these, approving these loans for like millions of dollars, like, hook a brother up or something. Right. So, but once someone finds out, it's jail automatically. Even police officers, if police officers are bribing or doing anything to like take money, jail automatically. Like he does not play with that corruption. So much so like he's been known to like go to different provinces and villages, different provinces specifically on his own without telling anybody, just to make sure things was running correctly. So I'm like, you couldn't do nothing but respect that. Right. So yeah, he doesn't play. So the prison system is kind of getting up there. So they're now discussing some type of prison reform where they can, shorten sentences or do community services and everything to kind of get people out, because you can't just be putting everyone in jail. So that's another thing though, like, you would think that there's like a lot of Asians and a lot of Europeans and,
right. That was somebody was asking, is there a lot of white people there?
So actually, no, I saw more white people in Uganda when I was
there.
2 days. And what's sad is in Uganda, they were walking around like they owned the place.
Oh yeah.
In Rwanda, they were humble. Like they were just more like, I'm here to do my work. Like they're there to work and leave. They don't, because they respect the city for what it is. So they weren't walking around like, making demands and all of this stuff. And because the Rwandans will check them with the quickness which they were doing. so it's just but when I went to Uganda, like I went to a club with one of the BIO brothers actually in Uganda because he lives in Jinja. And this white woman walked in like she owned the place, went to the bar with a bunch of black men, and they all swooned towards her too.
Oh yeah.
And then they had a joke. They was like, oh yeah, those are dudes who's looking for like visa marriages and all that. Yeah, they're looking for their card. Right. But in Rwanda, nobody walking into black clubs like that, not even close. So they have some of the white people that form their own clubs, which is already strange enough in itself. But I guess it's for them to have some familiarity when they come there, because some travel often. By the way, I taught them the term bottom shelf Brad.
Oh, you did? Okay.
It is hilarious. They've expanded upon it and started calling them bottom shelf bread. So make it sound like cheap white bread. I don't know. So I was over there teaching them like terms like coons, and it was funny. When you have enough banana wine and banana beer, you start saying some shit. So they think that's hilarious. But yeah, so like there's not as many white people there. Like it's just complete black people, black city. You see them, but you can tell they're all there for like business and work. And even though they're there for that, and make no mistake, they are paying taxes to a black-owned and black-run city. Okay. They are like, he's not letting them just build a business, get all these, tax write-offs and take that money back to wherever they're from. No, they pay their money to Rwanda. Like that's going to happen. There's not that many Chinese there, because I saw a lot more Chinese in Uganda. Again, I was only in Uganda for 2 days, but those 2 days in Uganda taught me a lot compared to the 2 weeks I spent in
Uganda is the epicenter of coonery in Africa. I don't know what's going on in Uganda. Like,
it is sad because so many of them, there's a faction of Ugandans who hate that shit. And just like, yo, this is madness, this is crazy. And they're the ones who said, like, yo, we just want to borrow Kagame for a month, just a month to get this in order. But like, it obviously that's not the case. So they're just like, man, we wish we was on that level, but it's just disappointing. But so in Rwanda, like I saw a few Chinese. They had like the Chinese businesses I saw. They did have some factories in their industrial center, but like they are actually employing Rwandans. It's not like they're just kind of like bringing in a bunch of Chinese and taking over the city. There were 2 Chinese casinos, and I think that's just like a place where when the Chinese come, they feel some familiarity or so. But they did build their big infrastructure project, which was their road throughout, I'm going to say from the north and the south and east and west. But it was like, Rwandans who helped build that too. It was like, Kagame, what he did was, it wasn't like they're going to build the road and then control that and maintain it for 99 years. He's not taking that mess either. He's like, no, you can, if you want to do an infrastructure project, that's fine. You can build it, but it'll be Rwandans controlling it and maintaining that for years on end. It's not going to be just kind of taking over and doing whatever you want. So that was refreshing to see, because you hear all these other stories, especially next door in Kenya.
Right.
So people, there are different international groups, but to be honest, it wasn't like white people swarming the sweet streets. I thought it was gonna be. That wasn't the case. The people that come in is strictly for business, and there they go. So and they love it there. The people are really nice and welcoming. So, and I mean, and the Rwandans themselves, they know, like, they're nice and welcoming because they had to learn, basically become a little bit more hospitable, because I was told in the beginning they weren't like that. They weren't welcoming at all. And then, Kagame was like, how are we gonna get people to invest and be around here if everyone's just giving them attitude? So they are very nice and welcoming, but they do put on, like some, I want to say kind of like a front for white people, because the welcome I got was very, very welcome and genuine. Like when I tell you how nice these people are. So the hotel I stayed at, they knew I was going to Uganda for 2 days, and I had to come back to Rwanda to fly out to get back to Amsterdam and back to the States. What they did for me, they told me, they was like, you can leave some of your luggage here. We'll pick you up from the airport. You can come back, take your old room, take a shower, and we'll take you back to the airport to catch your flight.
Oh, wow.
Like, yeah. And for no money.
Oh, wow.
I was just like, what? I was like, well, because I bought all these, souvenirs and stuff from Rwanda, and I really didn't want to take that with me to Uganda. I was only going to be there for 2.5 days. But they were just like, no, keep it here. They were like, no, like you Black, you one of us, keep it here. And then we'll watch it, and we'll pick you up from there. We'll drop you at the airport, pick you up, bring you back, give you back your room. You could shower. And then I was like, what? Because they knew the flights I was taking. So it was really nice for that, how nice these people are. It's just amazing. Made a lot of friends there. The nightlife is lovely. They have a lot of traditional night, which a lot of the young people take part of. Like, they go over there and then just sing and dance, mostly to traditional songs. But you still can go to like night clubs that'll play hip hop, play Afro pop or Afro beats. There's so many different options. And the Congolese know how to party. I cannot keep up with them. The Congolese are there. They really know how to throw down and party. So that's the other thing. But going throughout, outside of Kigali, they have this lovely area in the west called Gisenyi, which is where like most of the Rwandans or people who live in Kigali will go there for the weekend and just party. And it's lovely. It's at Lake Kivu, and it's basically a Black beach. It's called Tam Beach. All the Black people just go there to party on the weekends, and they have the silent disco. You basically wear headphones, and you change the station through 4 different DJs that's playing, and then people just party on the beach. So it was really nice. So experience that. Experience coconut gin. So gin. That's a Ugandan gin. It's really good. And that's not drinking. You probably noticed this in Nigeria too. I don't know if it's just an African thing, but they are very generous with their liquor. Like, were they giving you a lot of alcohol with drinks? Like, I'm like,
You know,
I've never.
I really don't drink like that. Like I love palm wine, of course, but usually the only time I really drink is when they were doing like the ritual.
Yeah. Yeah, I didn't drink like that either, but all these damn parties, they were just pouring it up. I was like, that's not a shot, that's 3 shots. So they so I had to like tone it down, like, yo, I'm trying to walk out of here. But I guess I don't know, their liver is doing something else that mines can't do, so I can't keep up with it. But they are very, very generous with their alcohol. So that's what I'll say. But they said this is similar in like Tanzania and all this stuff, in Uganda as well, which that is true. But what else? There was so many things. God, I take bullet points because that's it covered that infrastructure project. Yep, they did that.
Make sure you hit that like button. We have 272 people watching, only 105 likes. Hit that. Please hit that like button. Shout out to Miss Okello, who's in the chat room. Thank you for joining us. And Lumani, Kala's in the house too.
Someone said they rather smoke than drink. They do smoke weed there. You go to the villages, it's like, who don't smoke weed? They do. They light up there. It was happening a lot when I went to go see the pygmies in the West, which they're a fun group. They love to dance and sing. That's another thing with the Rwandans. They really, like, every place I was going, once I said, oh, this is my first time on the African continent, they did not hesitate to serenade me. And they have gorgeous voices. So they were very welcoming with that. So I definitely recommend people to go visit. There's probably, and just to get into what I'm sure people want to get into, what's going on with, like, at the border of the Congo and all that stuff.
Yeah, okay. So of course, people say Kagame is doing and involved in all types of stuff in the Congo, and what was going on. But now, can you tell us about, was there like a rift between Uganda and Rwanda, like Kagame and Museveni? Did they talk about that at all? Or
so now the history is Kagame used to work and train under Museveni.
Oh wow!
When the old Museveni, who back in the 80s, who was fighting for something and who stayed in power too long and turned into something else. Right. So he did learn a lot under him. So they have like a history already. So right now it's just the way Rwanda is looking, and Kagame pulls no punches. He is calling people out. He is calling African leaders out without hesitation. Calling up on their BS. He even called them out on the simplest thing. Like he straight up said before, I think at a summit in Kenya, like, listen, I get it. You guys want investors to kind of build your infrastructure. And you need additional help for this and that. But he was like, you don't need help to pick up your trash. So basically clean your dirty ass streets. And that's another thing. Let me get into how clean this country is, because everyone says Kigali is the cleanest city. Rwanda is the cleanest country. Out of every single province I went to, every single one, completely spotless. And this is saying something, because a lot of them still have like basically dirt roads, which you get the legit African massage, I was told.
Oh yeah.
You get a lot of that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it got to the point. It said, like, you're gonna get an African massage, but no happy ending. So don't expect. So yeah, I'm like, okay, really, after all that. So, but how clean the country is. So how this started is, they said basically it changed in a day. When I say a day, like, Kagame is serious about cleanliness, which is fine. He basically said, he wanted to do a trial of just throwing away all the plastic bags. To get rid of the plastic bags and see what difference it makes. Apparently, it made a huge difference, to the point where he was like, okay, we shutting down businesses for a couple of days. No one works. Everybody go out and clean. Everybody pick up all the trash, take the plastic bag. We're banning plastic bags. We're doing this. And he went out and did it too. So like you have nothing but respect for that. So they just, clean up the streets. And then the key was they maintained it. So in their culture, they don't really teach to litter anyway.
Right.
Because after seeing this, and this was told to me, there was like, when you come to Rwanda, there's like Rwanda is like Africa, but also very not like Africa. In general, when you're looking at other countries, so there's like you're gonna go to other countries, and your natural instinct is going to be to compare, and it's like you just don't compare. Don't every country is different. They have different things going on there, so do not compare. That's very hard to do. I discovered because I went to Uganda, and people are literally throwing trash out the car windows, and you will drive by a huge stack of just trash in the streets.
Kenya is decent. Kenya and Namibia.
Oh, I heard Namibia is really good.
Namibia is the hidden gem of Africa, even though it's had its issues because of apartheid. But Namibia is
I heard Botswana was, but maybe you're right. It probably is Namibia.
Yeah, Namibia.
Yeah, definitely doesn't get enough. So basically, how clean it is, like he had everyone clean the streets. At the end of the month, every either last Friday or last Saturday, which Lumani can probably fill in, everyone cleans. Like they go out, make sure the streets are clean. He was so strict about this. He took like trips because when he went to different provinces, he had a feeling that they weren't really keeping up to the cleanliness. And he was just only cleaning because they knew he was coming. So he went by himself to the provinces and saw that it was dirty. And the following day, that mayor was gone. That mayor or governor or whatever was gone, and it was just like, no, you're gonna keep this shit clean. So everything is clean, and the way the Rwandans are, they very much take pride in this, to the point that if you throw trash on the street, someone's gonna tell you to go pick that shit up.
Right.
Rightfully so. So they're very serious about that. And this was throughout the whole country. Someone asked a question and I forgot. It was something about different. Oh, and I think Lumani asked me different provinces. I went to the villages. I went to Kanembwe, which is where the pygmies are. And they do like a lot of clay art and clay. And they're so nice. They're funny and very honest, but very nice. Like those are the most honest people I've ever met. They just outright just straight up tell you like, yo, why you look like that? You can't even take offense to it because they're just asking a legitimate question. And so like it's not much decorum about it, but they're very sweet and they're very, very honest. So
somebody asked me, Dinas, why won't I visit Rwanda? I will one day, but I'm a West African cat. I love West Africa. I love West Africa. If I come back that way, I'm going.
Nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, I love West Africa. But if I come back that way, I'm going back to Namibia. I love Namibia. So
I do want to visit Namibia and see it. But definitely, like Rwanda is worth it. I would say if you're a woman, you want to travel by yourself, Rwanda is safe, like guaranteed. That's the only one I've been to, so I can't really compare it to others. But yeah, so for sure, if they want to do that, then I would recommend Rwanda. But going into kind of their history and what's going on in the Congo. So, everyone's just kind of like, oh, he's doing this in the South and he's doing this and, insinuating war in the Congo and stealing resources. So here's a situation. What the amount of people from the genocide that was actually convicted, I want to say, because 1 million people died. So they're like, okay, more than 500,000 people did it. They ran. A lot of them ran to the Congo.
Okay.
A lot. So it's a lot of rebel groups there. Let me not say a lot. I would say probably about there. I know of 3 of them, but there are different set rebel groups there who are till this day still kind of doing attacks on different provinces and stuff or whatever that's close to the border of Rwanda. So he's after them. These are people who are wanted, war criminals who are wanted. They only actually convicted maybe less than 100,000 people who took part in the genocide. And now remind you, 1 million people died. 100,000
100,000?
Less than 100,000.
That's still a lot of people.
Like, still a lot of people out there who murdered people. Yes. And what makes matters worse, when the UN finally stepped in, they only convicted and tried 30. It was Rwandans who went back to their traditional way of running courts and running their issues. They called it gachacha court, which is basically, it was a very small community-based system where everyone sits on the grass and discuss the problems, and you have one person kind of playing the mediator between the problems between families. This is how they've done it historically. This is how they had to do it after the genocide, because the world again left them to die. So they had to figure out, so they were able to try a good hundred, like thousands of people, but there's still a lot of people who took part in it missing. A lot of them went to Uganda, a lot of them went to the Congo, because the original borders of Rwanda, and I learned this at the King's Palace, the original borders outside of what the Berlin Conference cut out extends into those regions. So you can go into like North Congo, or like Northeast Congo, and they speak Kinyarwanda very fluently because they are actually Rwandans. And a lot of them said, like, really, if you look at all of them, if you cut all the lines apart, you wouldn't be able to tell the difference between any of them. They all look the same. Like between any of them, between the Rwandans, the Congolese there, and even the Ugandans, you can't tell the difference. So the borders extend into, the original borders outside the Berlin Conference, extend into Northeast Congo. It extends into, I want to say South Uganda. So all these areas still very much, speak Kinyarwanda, still a lot of Rwandans there and everything. These are also where people fled when they thought they were going to be, basically when they took part in the genocide. So yes, he is trying to get those motherfuckers back. Bring some justice to it. Yes, there is some, taking of, I want to say taking of resources, using the resources in those regions, because basically what he's doing is the art of war by Sun Tzu. Like, right. He's not going to tax his people to pay for, somewhat of an occupation in another region and make them pay for it. No, he's trying to get that city built. So he's going to get into those regions, get those people, and like, you guys are going to pay for it. Like, you said, like, we got to be over here and do all of this and do this fight. Like, I'm not charging my people for it. And naturally so, because if he did, this wouldn't work out. I could also say, yes, there is some, people say, like the media is hiding stuff and everything. That is true. And the reason for that is because he understands, not 3 decades ago, these people are still alive who were victims of it or took part in it. And who knows their level of fragility of it. So there are attacks, there have been attacks in certain regions that's close to those borders of the Congo. And you can only hear this like through news through Tanzania, because this is not played in their news in Rwanda, really to not set panic. Imagine if you tell them, hey, rebel groups of people who probably murdered your family is out attacking again. That's not going to go over well to the mass population. So he does control the media in that sense, to like, let's not set off mass panic and set off, PTSD or whatever, these people are suffering from, because it's not an easy, like, it's not something easy to heal from. These people, their husbands who murdered their wives, because if they didn't, they themselves was going to be murdered. Like, who knows? Like we can't even compute how what that would feel like. So, and then to see that these people are there and these people are alive and amongst each other. So that's where like the underlying somewhat lack of trust comes in, because you don't know if the person next to you took part in that shit or not. But it's better to not know, because if you do, what's going to happen? And what is he supposed to do? Should he kill the other 800,000 people who took part in it? It was free. It's just like, nah, I'm still killing off all the men. Like, there is not a perfect solution to this, but like, that's why they say this is not the only way, but for us it's the best way. So I cannot be mad at him for that. So there is some level of controlling what's being said in the media, so they don't set off mass panic. They did have areas where there was attacks and then when the rumors got out that, oh, there was an attack in this area, what he did, he went to that area, kind of try to show that it's okay. put the, have everyone come in the stadium. People were made to kind of like come in the stadium and make it look like everything's okay. But again, this is to portray an image that everything's okay. Don't fucking panic.
Right.
Like, I don't need you guys like going off the rails right now, because again, what would happen if people knew that attacks were going on? So yes, he is in those regions for that reason. There are basically a lot of war criminals in that region who, just like want to get rid of RPF or whatever, take back the government and do all of this. But listen, it was them who carried those people out of that hell into something. Again, they started below zero. They started with absolutely nothing. And he had to get them to where they are today. So I have nothing but respect for that. Like, what are you gonna do? Just like, oh no, he's just doing it wrong, and it could be done better. Okay, like if you got a better solution after what those people went through,
Right.
by all means, I'm sure people will be all ears. Go for it.
Right.
But again, like in a situation like that, when you lose your population and everyone's scattered, and you trying to bring them back, and that's another thing. One of the reasons why he's so popular and why they love him so much. He's the one president or the one person who identifies with all the groups. He obviously identifies with the Tutsi tribe, because I'm sure that's what he is. He identifies with the youth because he is trying to make changes to make sure the youth get the education. He puts a lot of value in education and healthcare to make sure they get their education to become a lot more competitive in the progressing world. So they have nothing but respect for him for that. He's pushing IT. He's pushing people to do more projects. He just launched a satellite into space just so the kids in certain villages can have internet access and be able to do all that. He identified that even the Hutu tribe, those tribe people identified with him because when he getting them arrested, he wasn't persecuting them and murdering them as retribution. He wasn't out for their heads. It was like, no, you're going to come back and pay for your crimes. The way you're going to pay, you're going to rebuild the community. You're going to do this. You're going to spend a lot of years in jail. But again, in jail, you're going to do all this activity, and then you can actually rehabilitate and become free once you get back to working with regular society and everything. So even them, and then their children, they did have issues, I believe, with like certain tribes or the Tutsi tribe being able to get either more credits or something, their kids getting ahead more in education. And then that changed. If you go to, I think in certain villages, not in certain villages, well, how was it explained to me? It was that basically changed if you were in Kigali for sure. If you moved to certain villages and you were, with the tribe and you feared that your kid wasn't going to get a certain education, if you go to this other, village, if you go to Kigali, then it's like, okay, your kid's going to get equal education to, the Tutsi kids, because they're not recognizing that there. So again, this is what he's done. So he wasn't out to just kill everyone. What is majority female?
Keep going.
Oh, I already talked about that. But I can say it again. How is this one on helping Rwanda's economic and infrastructure development? So the majority female, because female are the majority of the population. A lot of the men died in the genocide. So they put a majority of female in parliament because they are a majority of the population. They didn't want to misrepresent them. In terms of economic and business development, they have their heads for business just as much as the men. They're just they basically, moving forward with those business projects and signing off on those business projects. And they are encouraging people to come and do this, especially Black Americans.
Okay, in fact, let me real quick. Somebody in the chat room asked, I'm glad you're in there. Chief Drano, what does Kagame think of the diaspora? Rwanda could be the model of all Black Africa. What are your thoughts?
So basically it's just like open doors over there. Like, yo, if you want to come through and do business, come through and do business, especially if you are Black. Especially why? Because they're like, there's more white people or more Europeans coming to do it. Now, thankfully, that's somewhat changed because a lot of Kenyans are going to Rwanda to do it too. So there's a lot of Kenyans there. And a lot, I didn't see too many Nigerians. I guess nobody really goes to East Africa like that.
It's just, we have the diaspora, the immigrants, we have just a bad reputation, unfortunately. But Well, we're working on it.
It's so easy to like definitely go. They made it an easy process. Visa is on arrival. You just go with your passport and $30 and you're good to go into the country. That's all it takes. There is a lot of security. I will say that there's a lot. You're going to go through a lot of scans, a lot of security throughout the city, especially when that terrorist attack happened in Kenya. They ramped it up. So you're gonna get scanned. You're gonna, your car's they're gonna put the mirror under it, all that stuff.
Real quick, Bill, they do that in West Africa. They do that in West Africa.
Yeah.
They do that in Kenya too, which is odd because in America they don't do that when the cars pull up to the airport. But they do that often.
Yeah. So over there they do it heavy, but it's good to know that they do that in the West Africa too, because I saw it in Uganda, but they were really lax with it. So like there is a lot of security, but it's not like people feel like they're being oppressed. It's like you just go on about your day. It's like you just take it in strides. The airline okay, security is tough to get through, so we'll take a little bit longer. So flights might be a little late, but it all works out. So
you saying we're not us Nigerians, we're not deep in Rwanda?
Yeah, because Nigerians are everywhere. I was like, where are the Nigerians at? They didn't make it here, but no. So I didn't see too many there. No. They're probably not gonna like the laws because you can't go over there scamming people. That's another thing. You cannot be out on the streets begging for anything. He's not allowing that shit. If there are any beggars on the streets, there are certain programs for them. But if you're out there trying to, you can hustle and sell or whatever, there's certain areas for that. They have designated areas, but you can't have people at the airport begging for money. That does not happen. So it's not like Mr. Help. No, that you're gonna get in a lot of trouble for doing that. So you could enjoy your time without feeling like you're constantly handing out cash. I don't know if that's the case in all of West Africa or just certain regions. But you don't feel like you're being bombarded with money or asked for money all day, and your money will go far. Your money will go far there. And so
are there people usually in West Africa, for example, really in Africa period, there'd be people selling stuff in the middle of the street. Is that allowed or no?
No.
So in traffic, you can't sell anything.
No. There's markets for that. There's certain you can go downtown in certain areas, Mark. So you can stop if your car stops at a light. There will not be people running to your window to shove stuff in it because that's what happened in Uganda. So no, it's not people jumping in traffic. So he's not having that. That'll be too much chaos. Yeah. So there's certain areas you go into where you can actually make your sales. But yeah, Lumani's right. There are no beggars there. No one begged or anything, which was nice. And stuff you can go to certain areas where they are kind of trying to sell and push more stuff if you're walking, but they're not stopping traffic for that. So that was good to know. What else? God, is this so much? You definitely got to visit. You have to.
I'm a visit. I
just do Kigali though. Go to Gisenyi. You will love it. Gisenyi is right at the border of the Congo and near Goma. So a lot of people come over from the Congo and will party in Gisenyi for the weekend, and you'll just have a good time because they're so welcoming, and they do want to see more Black Americans. They do not see enough of us. They said that. They just no, come through. It's open arms for you guys, especially. And really, they don't know why we're still in America. They basically just
what do they say about that? So do they keep going in America?
They're just yo. First of all, besides the fact that your president is just racist as all hell, out on the streets getting shot and no one cares. Right. Why are you guys still there? Just come back. It's that simple for them. And I'm trying to sound like it's a lot more complicated than that. You got 400 years of slavery. You have, Dr. King, Malcolm X. You have all these, generations of people who fought and did this. At least that's what a lot of people say. I'm trying to save face here for the ADOS movement because they didn't. so they're just stop making it complicated. Just come back. You guys, and they understood that too. They were listen, you guys are very educated. You have a lot of skills. Why not bring it back here? Because you're in a country that don't appreciate you anyway.
Right.
And, you know, there's like they haven't historically. Are they going to in the future? And stuff like it was that simple for them, you know. So I was just like, listen, I agree with you, but I can't speak for the other 45 million, you know, Black Americans who just, you know, I guess they want to stay. I don't know. So to them, they're just like, man.
We've covered this already, but sports actuary says Rwandese women are too focused on being independent. What are your thoughts on that?
No, not really. They like the fact that they are they can also make money and work and do, you know, basically kind of work in the working class world like men and make decisions and all that stuff. But they are very traditional, if they weren't traditional, they wouldn't be going through the 7 ceremonies of a traditional wedding, which is insane and really expensive. But they are really about, like, you know, having children, taking care of the family, taking care of the household, taking, you know, like, so it's not like they're all just like F men. The standing issue is there's not enough men, so it's very competitive for the women there, unless, you know, unless they move in towards polygamy, which I don't see that happening there, because the women, I guess they'll have their stance there, but it is happening in Tanzania, I hear. And the men are very hopeful. Mm-hmm. They see that the women outnumber them, so they're just hoping like, hey, maybe I could just have 4 wives, and they're all, you know, just, it all just works out. But like the women are working, they're making their money, they are happy to be in the working world, but they're not trying to like, oh, you know, like, screw men, we don't need them, this and that, we're taking over. No, it's not like that. They like I said, they value their women. They take care of them because, well, Kagame is not accepting any alternative in general. And again, the men understand you need these women to make more men. So it is what it is. And the women are gorgeous, absolutely gorgeous. Like, you, Dinus, you really got to go. So like, you will not be disappointed at how beautiful these women are and how welcoming they are too. Like, before
if I go, it won't be till like 2020.
I mean, I guess that's okay.
I'm all over West Africa. I'm going back to Nigeria in May. Then
moved there already.
Listen, in August I'm going back to Nigeria. Then October, I'm going back to Nigeria. Then November I'm going back to Nigeria.
Just moved there already. What's going on? It's just good. So, and how's your son, by the way? Has he gone with you yet?
Who? My son? No, not yet.
Yeah, you gotta take him there.
Yeah, hopefully soon.
All these trips. Cultural promotion. Female tradition that have helped Rwanda's brand. Please. I don't know what they mean by Rwanda's brand. They all still value the tradition, wearing the dresses, using the weave baskets. I think it definitely helps. The youth have fun with it. That's what I could say. They definitely, it helps them. So basically, after the genocide, one of the ways that people kind of came back together and got in harmony to kind of help them heal is they went into their traditional songs and traditional dance. This is what they transitioned to because really they had nothing else. Like they had nothing but, you know, just singing and dancing and finding some way to heal from what they went through. So now to spin off of that, that was, you know, showed to the children and everything. So now these kids are now basically in their 30s. They love it. So now they basically kind of, the traditional dances is like a big business. They have traditional dance teams. They'll come to your weddings and do the traditional dance. A lot of the clothing is very, very popular for even just besides doing at weddings, but wearing it for certain ceremonies. Like when I was at the airport, the girl came to pick me up. She was wearing a traditional dress. So they really, and she's a young girl too. So they really made it part of their culture, like just added it in. So they kind of put traditional and modernized too. So, and the youth love it. They absolutely love it. So they definitely cultural aesthetic to increase tourism. Probably definitely to increase tourism to show that like, okay, they are very still cultural and everything. Cause I did see some traditional dress wear like outside in the different provinces outside of Kigali, but it's more and more popular there. Probably more than likely because it's more people. So I'm sure it is, you know, to an extent to increase tourism, but the what they wear, I'm like, it's also they love it, you know, like they really embrace it. They take pride in it. They get excited about it. When I wore my traditional dress to the wedding, everyone was so happy. There's like, finally, like you're really a true Rwandan now. You're gonna learn the language. You're gonna do this. I was just like, oh, okay. Like it was only like I was there for, I want to say 72 hours.
Mhm.
So it's like, all right, but you know, they put me in a traditional dress and everything, and it was really nice. So they just open arms and they're like, yes, you're part of this. So I can't even say it's really just part, like, you know, it's for tourism, because they do this amongst just themselves, people who aren't really tourists. Disclude me out of it, because they weren't putting on a whole damn show just for me alone. But I went to a, you know, Rwandan wedding. There wasn't like white people there. There wasn't any white people there. In fact, it was just all Rwandans. It was all done in, the entire ceremony was done in Kinyarwanda. It was just, you know, just them. So they do it as part of their culture now. They really make it part of them. So it wouldn't say for tourism, yeah, but not really.
How's the did you get a sense of how the education is there as far as high school through 12?
So education wise, the way it was explained to me, they're making a lot of investments in terms of like the primary education. So they're changing some of the curriculum. A lot of people don't like how often it's getting changed, but basically what they're trying to do is find the perfect system for these kids. A lot of the old curriculum still embraced what the Belgian brought in when they colonized them, and they're trying to move away from that to an extent. Like, yeah, you can learn French, but we're going to change this to make this to make it work for us, not just for like you to go learn and work in, you know, Europe. So they are shifting it a lot. So it does put gaps, I want to say, in primary school, but it's getting better. Like it's on the upswing, I would say, because they're adding technology, they're adding different things to make sure that the kids get the best education to make them compete on the world market, to make them be able to compete with kids not just in, you know, African countries, but no, they can compete just as equally with a kid from the US. You know, so that's where it's somewhat changing, and it gets annoying for the parents, which I can understand. That there's like, oh, you know, they're changing the system again, but it's all to make it better. Secondary school, like high school, is already stabilized. It's good. I was told that universities, they're still trying to improve upon that. So they still value Western university. Like if you go to Europe for school or the US, that's still highly valued, more so than there. But, you know, again, it's one of those things that's still progressing. Another thing Kagame did a huge shutdown on all those greedy pastors in church.
Yeah.
So there's still a lot of churches there. It's still a lot. There's, you know, full Muslim community. There's a lot of Christianity there, but he wasn't, you know, letting them kind of just take advantage of taking people's money. So there's still a lot of that, but it's everything is in order. You know, it's like, nah, you're not going to be taken over and everyone just praying and handing over dollars to you. That's insane. Right. Like these people need to move forward and progress and learn and move with the times. So and no, there is not white Jesus everywhere. I did not see not one white Jesus statue or sign on the street. No. So I know that's like the case in Ghana from what I hear.
Man, yeah. Thank you.
Yeah, so there was not white Jesus. So you have like people who are atheists, people who are very much Christian, people who are Muslim. So they have a lot of diversity. So it's not like Christianity is just thrown in your face. Like you run into those who very much value, you know, God and this and tell you to pray and yeah, okay, you know, you respect it, but you don't have to just, you know, it's not like you're condemned if you don't, because there's a lot of people who don't, and they have a small Pan-African community there. So, yeah, they do. Actually, my tour guide was one of them because he's like, oh my God, he's like, I'm so happy I have a Black American who don't mind that I talk shit about white people. Because every other Black tourist he was getting, he was like, you know, he's like, basically they're what, cocoons? I was like, you mean coons? So he's like, yeah, you know, those cocoons. I'm like, no, coons. So, like, you're making it crazy. So yeah, he was happy to like, oh, thank God, like I could talk shit because he's like, I work with white people all the time and touring and stuff, but he's just like, some of the shit they do.
Like, what did he say they do? Did he say anything?
Well, he said he's had white people who literally just wanted them to drive him to when he was in Gisenyi, which is near the border of the Congo, who wanted them to drive him to the border of the Congo just to get their passport stamp, just to say that I've been to the Congo and take it back to Europe and say, ha ha ha, I've been and stuff. And he's just like, then he's like, they had this dude who was watching birds for 2 hours. It's like these people know how to find fun where there's no fun. So he was like, who sits there and watch birds for 2 hours? Who does that? Right. So, and then he was like, and then the bird wasn't there for half the time. He was just waiting. He's like, then he had some Australians who filmmakers and who do documentaries who wanted him to get them to the Congo, the south side, where the rebel groups are. He did do it. He said, it took. He was like, it was 7 days. He's like, I want to say I slept probably a total of 4 hours out of those 7 days.
Really?
All of a lot of stress. He's like, he's like, he told me what he went through. And to be honest, the story is much better coming from him. I feel like I would do it no justice. It was hilarious, but it was also scary as hell. He said basically what he ended up finding out, and he had to find this out before going to the Congo, but he said really what it is at that area, he was like, $1 is not really $1. So you learn that when they take counterfeit money. You can throughout the Congo. He's like, the whole state is just so messed up, like their banking system. No one's checking this shit apparently. Like you can use counterfeit money through different rebel groups and get by if they don't kill you or so he had to get through that. So he was just like one of those moments. Then he found out when he was taking those Australian documentaries that those people who work for the documentary who want to do this film on these lowland gorillas, is like, come to find out one of them had a camera in their pen, and he said he smoked so much after that because of what could have happened had the 3 rebel groups he had to bribe to get through there and found out this dude had a camera. And he's like, you know what? I'm not dying for these white fools. Right. Like this never again. If you want to go to the Congo, go yourself. So after that, the other like white people, whatever, whether they're history teachers or environmentalists or doing the research, because they're really researching, what's in the earth around there. He told them, he's like, no. I'll get you south of Rwanda. You're going to find your ride the rest of the way. I will not, I take no parts of this. And he charged a lot for it. He said they paid him. But in the end, he's like, I don't know if that money was worth it. Yeah, it's not worth it. Yeah, to the point where his employees, when he told them he was doing it, his employees, they told him, like, yo, pay us before you go on your trip. Right. Basically, you ain't coming back. So he was like, I aged terribly after that week, so never again. But yeah, so that has its dangers. What else?
Well, so as far as Black Americans who want to repatriate to Rwanda, like, what is that a good landing spot?
I think it is, for sure. I think I can't really. I don't want to compare it to like South Africa, other places that's really developed where you can kind of transition easily.
Yeah, but you haven't been to Ghana yet, have you?
No. Rwanda is the only country I went to so far. Okay. So I have not been to Ghana yet. And yeah, I know a lot of African Americans in Ghana. But if you are a person who, understand that it is landlocked. So I hope you're not looking for, like gorgeous beaches. Although you can go to Lake Kivu and still travel and, have a great time. So understand that initially. Then if you are about like really building a business, you have business ideas, business plans, and you want to get it off the ground without having to deal with corruption or any other thing you think you're going to run into in other African countries, or, without having to grease people's hands to get what you need. Yes, for certain. There's so much opportunity. Although there's still a lot of development, there's still so much more. Like the other provinces, they're not like 100% there yet. They're not Kigali. They're obviously not that main city, but they're going to be in the future. So it's kind of like the opportunity is there. You can start with one business and expand it out to different provinces. They have some of the best coffee and tea I've ever had. And I learned that Starbucks get a good portion of their coffee and tea from Rwanda. So I was like, oh shit, I didn't know that. But they have some of the best coffee and tea that you can get there. And I went through like tons of tea fields and coffee plants. And actually, the tour guide I use does coffee tours too. You get really good banana wine if you want to try it.
I need to try this banana wine.
It's better. You gotta. He said the best is really getting it straight from the village when they make it.
Oh yeah, it's like palm wine. It's like palm wine.
Yeah, when they make it on the spot. So when I go again in the fall, he's like, "We'll get it from the village and stuff like, cause they, make it right there on the spot for you. That's the best kind. Because you can get the one in the bottle, but it doesn't. You got to drink it fast, and obviously you don't want to drink it too fast, but you got to get it done fast. So they definitely, if you're looking to transition to that, a very well functioning city, really good infrastructure, very clean, like obviously very clean. That's a place that you want to go. Very safe, kid, and that's another thing. I literally saw babies walking down the street on the side of the road by themselves. When I say babies, these kids must have been no older than the age of 2. It's like they had to be just 2 years old and like walking from back to and from daycare, with their siblings, with just walking back and forth to school, and nobody's kidnapping them. You see the dude with his bike and all the plantains on the back or all the cabbages, and he's just walking past them. Like everyone go about their business with no problem. So yeah, that's where I would say for sure, like it's worth it. Like go for it. Look into it. It's very easy to get a business developed, and they really encouraged it because I wanted to see if I can transition my license over, and I just had a few questions, and then I was going to see about the paperwork. Everywhere I went, they just kept saying no, register here. Like they made it so easy for me. The dude was like, you can do it online and just pay the fee and send us the receipt to of the bank that you paid it to or whatever, and then you're registered. That's it. So now I'm registering my license there. But like they really push you to do that, and it's a movement that they're doing throughout the whole country. How much would it cost to start a business? I'd imagine that depends on the business.
What about buying land? Did you
you can get, so the land around Kigali is a little bit harder to get because a lot of people want it. If you're going, you can go and get really decent land if you go maybe like 30 minutes, actually maybe 25, 30 minutes outside of Kigali, and you still be driving in and everything. You can still get get really decent land. You can get the simplest house, which would be, I want to say, what did he say? Maybe like a 2-bedroom house would have all the basic things that you need. He said that would be probably equivalent to maybe 65 or 75,000 US dollars. And if you want like a 4-bedroom, whatever, 100,000 US dollars is equivalent to.
And this is in Kigali.
This is actually in Kigali. Yes,
it's not bad. It's not bad.
No, yeah, it wasn't bad at all. So, and I said if I do it, I'm gonna look outside of Kigali because just Kigali is really. I'm not like I don't want to be in congested city. So, and the traffic flow is actually good. Like you still get traffic, but the way they did with all the roundabouts, it made so much of the traffic easier to pass through. So it's not terribly bad. And they have so many more projects coming on. Like they have the Volkswagen dealership there, which is really expensive. So they're like, we don't know who's going to buy it because everyone, and this is probably the case in Nigeria too, everyone was driving Toyotas. I guess the parts are easy to get.
No, well, they drive a little bit of everything. And put it like this: in Africa, they drive everything but American-made cars.
Yeah, that was similar. I mean, they had Toyotas, but not American-made. There was like not too much. So it was Toyotas that like RAV4s, any Toyota, like Jeeps mainly, any Toyota like SUV was what's kind of being popular and used there. They said now that like Hyundai is becoming a little bit more popular, but Toyota is still the main one because parts are easy to get. And it's cheap. Like they get it in from Tanzania and everything. So it's pretty easy. So with the Volkswagen dealership there and them building up, I don't know if it's going to make it easier to get them because it was like, well, those cars are kind of expensive. So, but it provides jobs to a lot of people. They have a lot of other businesses like textile businesses, fabrics. And another interesting thing, when you go to different provinces, each province is like known for different things. Like you go to one province, and I don't want to say this is the province that does it, but like Wamagana, I can't remember if they take part in just kind of like clay, having the best clay and everything. It's one of those provinces do it, but I'm just going to give that as an example because that's the name I can remember. So like if you go to that province, you'll get the best kind of clay that you want to build your house with. So that's where, you'll get it from. Another province will have like the best, textiles and everything that you want to add to something in your home. So that's where you get it from. And it doesn't take long, although I went throughout the whole country, it doesn't take long because it's a very small country to go through all of this. I want to say, 3 hours? 3 hours drive. It wasn't bad at all.
Oh, wow. Well,
yeah. We was in the car a lot, but it wasn't bad.
So, Belle, what we'll do, we'll go ahead and close out. A lot of people want to know how they could reach you.
Oh.
Do you want people to contact you, Belle?
Yeah, sure. If they're really interested, for sure. If you want to, yeah, you can on my page, and I'll put my email into. And shout out to my BAIO family.
Can you type your information in the chat?
Yeah, go ahead, please. Well, can I? It's not.
I think you know what? I think you can try it. Do it.
Sorry, I have like 2 screens going because I was on call, and now I'm like, okay. So that's my email. But yeah, for sure, you guys can subscribe to my channel. Not really. I'm trying to put up like my content from that I got videos I did over there. But I haven't done too much yet. So. But no, seriously, like if you want to go to a place, especially if you're a woman, I would say, and you don't want to be mauled by men or harassed. That's another thing. They were not doing that. You don't want to be like attacked by men. You just want to enjoy the place. Rwanda is like the place to go. Very, very much. So I'm not on Instagram that much. Yay, Lumani. I will see you this fall. Definitely, because I'm like, I really wanted to meet up with her. So, and thank you, Dynas, for connecting us, because I would not.
No problem.
We weren't trolling your channel.
That's what this channel's about. That's what we're about here. But Belle, thank you so much.
Thank you
for coming on. I appreciate it. You stay warm out there.
Yeah, it's sunny today. So yes, I'll be done with Alaska before the end of the year, and then I'm back to Rwanda to travel, and I'm going to go to Tanzania and to look into setting shop and moving there eventually, probably within the next 3 years. And you need to get settled in Nigeria already. Like, stop with this back and forth.
Well, I am. I'm just getting everything coordinated, so it's going to happen.
Well, I'm so excited for you, man. Congratulations with that. Seriously, that's amazing. But watch out. The haters are going to come now talking about, see, he's just a Nigerian scam artist. Look at him. He just actually, let me super chat you. I have not super chat you in so long.
Thank you, Belle. Thank you. We'll close out on that. Thank you. Let's see what we put in. Anything, everything counts. Anything counts. Anything is a.
I owe you. I've been so busy. I've been unable to, play around on your channel too much and moderate. So let me hook up my brother here.
Thank you.
Yeah. All those trips to Nigeria.
Thank you so much, Belle. Thank you.
You needed all those trips to Nigeria.
Thank you. So with that being said, thank you so much, Belle, for the super chat.
Yeah.
That would buy me about 20 plates of jollof in Nigeria. About 20 plates of jollof.
Oh my gosh. Okay. All right. Thank you, family. Thank you so much for having nice to see you guys again. Lumani, again, I'm going to message you again. We are going to do this fall. I promise.
Absolutely. Everyone, again, thank you for joining. Make sure you go to Search for Uhuru on Instagram, Snapchat, Twitter, and Facebook. Make sure you like and subscribe. Until next time, family. Peace.
Peace.